Record. Okay, welcome everybody on the Aligning with Success call. This call, as you know, is a freelance sort of make it up as you go along, but there's usually rhyme and reason to what I do. So I have a purpose this evening, especially since we are going into such a heavy launch campaign for sponsoring new business partners. And what a new business partner would look like very, very quickly in your and mine eyes would be a new senior that we could recognize. Well, who better to ask as to how to make that magic happen than the person who's been making that magic happen before this launch became super critical, and that's Ruth Lowe. Ruth has been recognized as the individual who has sponsored the most seniors personally since, Ruth, correct me if I'm wrong, October, is it?
November and December.
November, December. So how many seniors are we talking about? November and December.
Combined is 9.
9 new seniors. And if I was a betting person, and I'm not, but knowing the business the way I know this business, Ruth, that tells me that moving into this launch campaign in this quarter of 2017, combined with the Niken compensation plan and 9 people who sort of put their hand up and said, pick me, I would be willing to bet you've got 3 rock stars on your team. That means...
Nope, 3 is right. It's interesting. I was just thinking about that. It is 3. I want to go forward.
So, and I say that because that's total validation for a presentation that I had done on the Launch Partners call. I can't remember which one it was, 2 or 3, where I actually drew out, I do this zigzag, and I draw out this idea of what does a launch strategy look like? How many people do we want to enroll in order for us to end up with 3 rock stars, 3 real superstars that we can launch who are committed as much as we are to their success to actually launch them. So that is something that you've done. You've sponsored 9 individuals from which we will see the net effect of that is 3 people who are going to be pretty aggressively campaigning along with you in the next quarter. And it's usually, by the way, it's usually a cycle of time. That doesn't mean that some of the others won't come along a little bit later. It's out of 9 who are in now, 3 are going to go slow, 3 may hardly move at all, and 3 are going to move quickly. That's kind of how it fares out. And I'm sure you'll be able to share that with us in the next month or 2 as to what it's looking like on your end. But we definitely want to know, and this is an open call. I'm pretty good at asking questions about to extract the information we want, but I guess everybody here wants to know how you made that happen, since many of these people on the line have events already scheduled, planned. I'm going to be visiting some of their cities in the next few days and weeks. So we want to know, go back to when you made, first of all, a decision to do this. Was it, by the way, was it a decision? Was it an actual, I'm doing this?
Yes, absolutely. It was after listening to Rachel Dayton speak, because Rachel Dayton got October #1 slot. And after she spoke, I thought to myself, why am I not even attempting to do this? Why am I sitting back and just chilling? It's crazy. And so that's what started it all.
Okay. So, well, was there something that triggered that decision?
I think knowing that I didn't really have the confidence in myself that I could do it. And it wasn't until I heard Rachel speak and I thought to myself, she is so confident. And, we've been friends for a long time. If she could do it, I have to at least give it a shot. So that's how it started. But the other thing that was pivotal when I was reflecting on what happened in the past 8 weeks was I decided to actually do some self-improvement growth. I would read a book a month. I'm like, yeah, it's great. And the book club is fabulous. But I decided that if I really wanted to go for this and I wanted to be Team Kaizen, I need to know what Kaizen really meant. So I got the book and it just popped out at me, as these things do. There's a book by Robert Muir that talks about one small step can change your life, the Kaizen way to success. And the whole thing is about little steps. And when I read that, I'm like, I just need to do little steps. And I don't know where it's going to take me. I just got to do little steps. And then Rachel Dayton turned me on to Law of Attraction. I listened to Esther Hicks and Abraham every single day. I also listened, and I do Audible. I'm not a big reader. I do Audible, but then I can multitask. And the other book that had a huge influence is Letting Go by David Hawkins. Just letting and not tied to them. I know what I want, but I don't need to know how to get there, and just allow it to happen. So those 3 books was a huge shift for me, between me and my husband, and getting my husband on board. It really has changed our relationship. So in the past 8 weeks, a lot of things have changed in our lives and our family because of us going for this Team Kaizen and Step Up program. It's been really interesting.
Good. Excellent. Okay. So obviously a decision is always involved when anything major is going to happen. And now, prior to sponsoring 9 seniors in 2 months, what was your pace, would you say, on average?
Slow, maybe a senior every other month. It just was very laid back. Wasn't.
Okay, so there was definitely a change in your behavior, not just a change in your decision. That prompted a change in your behavior. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys who are making a bunch of noise, be mindful of the call you're on. Please mute yourselves. All right, so we have a decision. That decision prompts a change in behavior. What was the very first thing that had to change?
My headset, my mindset. I actually had a meeting with my family, and even though my son, who doesn't live with us, I called him after I spoke to my daughter and my husband, and I said, this is what I'm planning to do in the next 2 months, and I need your support. I mean, you're not going to do anything, I get that, but you have to send me and pray for me and just know that this is what I'm going after, and believe in me. And so that was the first thing we sat down with the family to talk about. I did that.
I think that's great. I just want to make a note of that, because what you did was you enrolled the family. The people were going to be directly affected by the time involved.
Yeah. I told my daughter that I wasn't doing her laundry. I wasn't, all the things that I don't have time to do this, so you need to pull your weight. And I told my husband that if you have nothing kind to say, keep your mouth shut, because I don't want to hear it. So I had to set these parameters for my family. And then I think because I did that, they all pulled together. It was amazing. They were very, very positive. And they were always like, you can do this, Mom. You can do this. And they always looked at my whiteboard where I had all my circles and my dollar amounts and all my people I had to follow up with. Everything is right in front of me to the left of my computer on a whiteboard. And it was very exciting.
That's awesome. So now you've got your team at home on side. Did you need to get your team in your Nikan business, upline and downline on side?
My upline are phenomenal. I have Kaluhis in Florida that are always supportive. I speak to them frequently. But my Royals, Jack and Karen Enzyme, were amazing because they're very much, their way of thought very much resonates with me. They're very calm. I made a commitment to meditate every day and to pray every day. And I get that strength from Karen and Jack Enzyme. So that was a huge support for me.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So we've got all the team on site. So now what? Obviously, you have to contact people. So where did these names come from? Where did this list of names come from?
Yeah, so I have quite a few people that tell me they don't want to do the business. They're more than happy to refer. So 4 of these people, I went back and I said, look, I'm really sorry I didn't share this with you sooner, because we knew about this in September, right? And I was a little embarrassed, but I owned up to it. And I just said, you're sending me these people, and I love working with them, and things are happening. And so as soon as I got a big order, I called them and said, either you can make the money or I can make the money, and I would love it if you were to make the money. And then when I showed them the retail profit and the Nikan reward, they were like, really? I'm like, yeah, can you believe it? So 4 of the people came from people that have been referring, but nothing really hit. It's really interesting. Until we made that decision, all the energy didn't flow. Orders came in November. They didn't come in September and October. It's really weird. So 4 of them happened that way. 2 of them were reinstated because I called people. I didn't have a lot of people that were directs left because they were all customers. So I did have 2 customers that were having referrals, and I just said, you may want to take a look at this and think about rejoining. I know it's $100, but you get more than that back, 7-fold, So, and then 2 of them were just people that wanted products. It was more, I felt like it was a Tupperware party type of thing, if you do this much, you get this much back. And they were like, okay, I want that free product. And that is the only reason why they did it, was to get that free product.
Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, that's what the incentive made possible. Okay. So that we understood. But you said as well earlier when we started the call that there's probably about 3 people who are actually showing up to do the business. That is probably becoming more evident right now in this month. And by the way, if you've got a question for Ruth, I'm going to open this up in the next 5 or so minutes to some questions that you may have that are very particular to this particular agenda, which is how she developed 9 seniors in 2 months. So you have referrals coming from people who are customers and who are perhaps already referring. Did you have any other source of leads?
Yes. So I'm part of the chamber, and the chamber has 3 events a month. And I went to all those 3 with the intention of meeting somebody. We got a few customers, but nobody panned out to truly want to do the business. But that's okay, because we made it a point. My husband and I did our best to talk to as many people as we could and get their cards and follow up with them. So the follow-up and the little steps that we did that we didn't do before as well helped us generate just the momentum. We got a lot of no's, but it was okay, because for us it was practice. And we needed to practice because it's been so long since we've been out there to really work it. So yes, we had, and the whiteboard, people would come up and we put their name up, not knowing where we go, but we just had a constant running list of names, and we would like, oh, what about this person? What about that person? So even my daughter even today she came home, there's a runner, she's a track and field runner. Mom, you got to call her, she's got a bad back. And so as soon as this call's over, I'm calling her father. So, my family is thinking about that constantly. Who can I refer? Because what I did was I asked each of my daughter, my husband, and my son, I said, you each need to give me 5 people. So that meeting that we had, I said, Rachel, you have plenty of people in sports. And my husband, you have people at work. And my son, and one of the referrals I got from my son, they bought a Queen Sleep System, waterfall. They spent $2,000. So it's pretty interesting what happens when you ask for it.
Okay, cool. So the leads, they seem to be coming from more referrals. Again, people that you've enlisted to help you with this. Did you have any cold market referrals, meaning like you have some lead generation program, or this is just simply tapping into a referral network everywhere you can?
Yeah, I do not have a lead generation program. That's a little too advanced for me. And I'm really more of a belly-to-belly person. I like to have that relationship, the one-on-one. So it really is one person at a time. The interesting thing that we've shifted is that I've never in the past asked for referrals. It just didn't seem natural to me. And this time we did. We're like, do you know anybody else that would really like to feel better naturally? And that wasn't natural for us.
Did any of those new seniors refer you to somebody right away?
Yes, they did. And that's how we got the orders. They're like, well, what about my aunt? And I had one lady, she had visitors. She kept having visitors at Christmas time, right? One after another. She brought her aunt over, she brought her cousin over, she brought her mother-in-law over. They all bought stuff.
Fantastic. Okay, so sounds like you were doing most of your meetings in home. Is that true?
That is true. A few coffee shops. I've always done things out of my home. But we're getting better at going out to the coffee shops. My husband and I both are getting more comfortable with that. So how
did you get these people to your house, to come to your house, to take the time to look into this?
Well, because I say I have everything at my house. It's just so much easier. And I could show you. We live and breathe this stuff. You should at least come, especially if it has to do with kids. Like, you can see what my daughter does. You can see what my dog sleeps on. So one of the ladies came because she had an older dog. So it just, I connect to what it is that they need, and then it always happens to be at my house. And so that's how I bring them back to my place.
Fantastic. Cool. Okay. And anything special in terms of the way you presented or what you presented than, say, 3 or 4 months ago?
I think the excitement was very different. So my own energy, my excitement level, because I knew that I could help them. And even though a few months ago I knew that, but I didn't say that to people. And this time, as we were going out with the intention of setting the intention of meeting new people and knowing that we're going to help somebody and knowing that they need my help, that whole energy shifted. And so I think people are attracted to that.
Yeah, you kind of turned the volume up. You dialed the volume up, is what I would say. Mm-hmm. In every aspect, every way, just what you were saying, how much you were saying, the energy that you were exuding, the urgency obviously was dialed up.
Mm-hmm. And it made me smile. It made us happy to be able to do that. And so it's a shift, absolutely.
Okay. Anything I didn't ask you that might jump out at you?
No, I do want to share that my husband and I have reflected over the past few weeks that we've done things now by habit that were very unnatural for us. For instance, we walk every night together now, which we never did before, but we use that half an hour walk to gain, to build that strategy for the next day and to review what has happened today. We've never done that. Coming from the book of The Little Steps, he is my Facebook person because I don't like to do Facebook, so he scans it for me or whatever, and he pops up stuff. He got me two people to contact because he said, oh, this one said she wasn't feeling well. And so he has really become an integral part of my team, which is really, really wonderful. He set up my YouTube account for me. He's posting things for me. I never had that before, and I've never had a chance where I can work together with him, and that has been amazing. So it has really helped us as a family.
That's awesome. All right, guys, do you have any questions for Ruth?
Suzanne, you're muted.
I know. I'm not now, right?
Yeah.
You're not now.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You were just speaking about the things that you were doing with Robert, your husband. Now, 3 or 4 months ago, was he an integral part, or was he a part of your business at all, or is this very new?
That's a great question. So Robert, from the get-go, was very negative about my business. It took him almost 3 years when he saw the checks that kept coming. Oh, I guess this really is real. And then for the next 13 years or so, he would okay, I'll take care of the kids, and yeah, I'll clean the house or whatever. He really didn't. He'll give out my business card here and there. But what happened when we made this decision, when we had our meeting, and I asked him for 5 referrals, he was like, okay, I can at least give her 5 referrals. And then his mindset shifted. And then when I read the book about, the small steps, and I asked him, I said, you need to be my IT person. And I'm like, you can do that after work. I mean, he worked 60 hours a week, but when he heard Tony Collins driving a truck for 60 hours and he was still doing weekend all by himself, he was like, wow, I can't make any more excuses. So he has obviously taken a bigger role. And now every time we're in the car, anytime we're alone walking the dog, he's always thinking, okay, what else? What's the next step? And he's always pushing me a little bit. And I'll tell you, in the past, when he pushed me, I would get annoyed. And now when he pushes me, I'm so grateful. So it's really cool to see that shift.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
Barbara Joseph here. Can you hear me?
Hey, Barbara. Yes, we can.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Didn't know when we talked earlier, so that's cool. I have 2 questions. One is, you talked about going to chamber and connecting with new people and then following up. What was that like? Did you have a specific conversation and find out something about them? Or was it just, hey, this is what I'm all about. Do you have an interest? What was your direction with that?
Yeah, so whenever I go out to events to meet people, I absolutely only have the intention of meeting people to make new friends. I really don't put Niken as the main reason, because I find that comes from the right heart for me. And so I go out to make new friends and who I connect with. Now, sometimes I meet people, I'm like, oh, I don't like that energy, and I'll go to the next person. And then sometimes I'm in line and I'm waiting with somebody and we just strike up a conversation and we have so many things in common. So I kind of go with the intention of looking for a new friend, because I've only lived here a few years and I'm always looking for new friends, because you just never know who's out there that shares the common thing. So I go with the intention of not really sharing Niken, but to find out as much as I can about them, and then see, because inevitably an opportunity comes up that I can help them, that I can serve them. And that's when I say, and after I've built that relationship in 10 minutes or whatever it is, and we really enjoy each other, and that comes up, that's when I take the opportunity. I'm like, wow, I think I can help you with that. We should have lunch, or we should have coffee. And that's how I take it from there. But I don't go with the intention of doing Niken. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it works better for me that way.
Absolutely, I understand. And the other one is, someone else would like to know the names of the books once again.
Oh, yes, so sorry. Sure. Okay, so the first name is The Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks. The other book I really like is One Small Step Can Change Your Life. The Kaizen Way to Success. And it's by Robert Maurer, M as in Mary, A-U-R-E-R. And the third book is Letting Go, and that's by David Hawkins, who writes Power versus Force. It's his other book. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
I want to recap just quickly what you said with respect to your I call it prospecting, which in my opinion is the art of interviewing someone without them knowing you're interviewing them. And so you kind of do that. You interview people without it really coming across as an interview. But in that interview, you're gathering up information about them and connecting the dots in your mind. And it comes out the way it comes out when the opportunity presents itself. I want to read you this quote that Dave sent me today, and I'm going to incorporate this into my presentation somehow. He says that when Mr. Masuda used to carry in his wallet, this is a Larry Profit story. When Larry Profit was involved in a very large and successful network marketing company back in the day when he was in network marketing called Holiday Magic, and he was out in Japan pioneering the introduction of this company to the Japanese and was interviewing prospective direct sellers and networkers. And one of these guys that came into his office was a fellow by the name of Isamu Masuda. And in this interview, Larry had shared many of the golden nuggets that Larry shares. And it turns out that some 3 or 4 years later, Larry was back in Japan being interviewed by no other than Mr. Masuda, as he was founding his company called Nikken. And Mr. Masuda took out of his wallet a piece of paper, folded up, and unfolded it and said he had received this information from Larry some years earlier and carried around with him in his wallet because it was something that made a very big difference in his life. I want to read you what this is. Before you can achieve the kind of life you want, you must think, act, talk, and conduct yourself in all your affairs as would the person you wish to become. That's an Earl Nightingale quote. So essentially what you're talking about reading the book Law of Attraction, the other book that you'd mentioned by David Hawkins, and my favorite author of all of this work is a fellow by the name of Neville. He always speaks about the idea of the assumption. In fact, the law of attraction would be better if it was called the law of assumption, where you make the assumption that you are that person. And then you act and think and walk and talk and breathe and as if you are that person. And in doing so, you actually start to vibrate differently, invoking the law of vibration. And all things are resonant in the law of vibration. Whatever is in harmony with that vibration is drawn to you. So your vibration shifts, your energy shifts, your dialogue shifts, your posture shifts, and all the circumstances then start to shift in accordance. And that's the key to drawing the attraction, the law of attraction to you. And so very first thing you said, Ruth, was that you made a decision, and it was in that decision that you changed fundamentally the way you thought. So you were using the law of attraction, whether you were aware of it or not, or certainly did start supporting it by reading about it. But that's the key to a major shift in somebody's life and somebody's results. So congratulations on that. Anyone else have a question for Ruth?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Madeline.
I've been on the PA with Ruth all year long, and as we were transitioning with the customer, Ruth was very strong about differentiating, becoming a customer first, and that you had to almost become a customer first before becoming a consultant. And when I was listening to your stories, it sounded like a lot of it had to do, and I had that also. I had 3 consultants over that time, and 2 of the 3 wanted products. So they got more free products, they got the money and whatever on all the benefits, so they took advantage of doing it, especially in the free shipping month. And so where are you now with that? Because now, I mean, it still sounded like it was more of products, but under the old model of the membership. And so I'm just curious as to where you are with what we're moving into now as far as launching and prospecting for business partners. What we heard from Jeff on the Platinum Alliance today, which was really clear about don't get a membership unless you're ready to do a business.
Correct.
Curious about that?
So it has been a huge shift. And even when Ben was saying, when we first started at the beginning of last year, it was like customer, 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 customer. And that was a struggle for me because I love the wholesale buyer package thing. And then when this happened, and honestly, September and October, when that came up, I'm like, oh no, I'm not giving up my retail profit. I remember
you saying that. That's why I asked the question.
I'm not doing it. I'm not giving up that money. I'm not giving it away. But then what happened was when these referrals were coming in, I'm like, well, that didn't come from me. That came from somebody else. So I don't really have that big of a head challenge with that because they were giving me the referrals. Yes, I was working with them and whatever and teaching them. I was doing most of the work, but I was okay with that because it didn't come from my own work, right? So that shifted. But now that we go into the new year, I tell you what really excites me is the incentive stuff that they just gave to us. It's incredible. And so now it's like, yeah, so now I'm going back to the 3 that I think want to do this ongoing. You know, they just wanted to get to executive because they thought, oh, wow, great, I'm going to double my income without doing anything extra. Now I can take them to the next step and say, look, if you do this, look what you'll get. I mean, it's big. So I'm kind of still adjusting, Madeline. I don't know.
I think we are. It's been a big year.
It's been a big year, but I believe that 2017 is the best year with all these perfect incentives that is going to allow us to really get in our groove and really get, and all this world tour stuff and having all these things happening. It's just, you can't help but get wrapped into this energy and this whirlwind tour and all that, and it's all good. And so, it's a shift. It's definitely work.
That some of us on this call are on that PA call, and then what you've done, Mike, and been with all of these programs that we've been doing on the calendar, and this, and now the WhatsApp with sharing all the information. It's really a learning environment that is, I made a comment on it today. I mean, I taught clinical nursing, and you can teach it and teach it and teach it, and then you have to push people out and they have to do it to get the practice and to become expert. And that's what's happening in a safe environment with some group support here. And it's absolutely, there's a concept of novice to expert. And I've stuck my head in the teaching theoretical role for too long, and I think so many of us have. The educational backgrounds that we have, the medical people tend to be so, and the financial people when they analyze it or whatever. But this has been absolutely beautiful, and to be able to talk like this, and for me to ask Ruth that question, and for her to share what she has shared. I mean, that it's safe. And we really can be safe with one another as we help one another grow and be and become. I've been looking back through, I have a 20-some times humans being more, and just looking back through a few of those. I did that this weekend. Well, I couldn't talk much this weekend for a few hours. And so a few of those life cycle charts, and it is profound, the themes that are the same, and sometimes it just takes a little longer for that gestation period. But what you've taught us about this momentum now and what's happening and the vibrations, it really feels so good. It just does. I
just got a text from Gary. I wanted to share with you because it's sort of what you're talking about here, how this environment is fostering this excitement, this behavior. He says, I've never talked as much as I did today. I lost track of how many calls I did today. I like being busy.
Yeah. Is that Gary Bolton or Gary Lindner?
Yeah, it's Gary Bolton.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
It is. The place is a mess right now, but it's exciting.
It looks like that on my desk. Hey, listen, does anybody have another question for Ruth? Okay, I have a question. Oh, wait, Dee, go ahead.
What's next, Ruth? That's my question.
Hey,
and
you took it right out of my mouth. That's the question I was going to ask next.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Yeah, what's next, Ruth?
Yeah, you should feel really good, Lori. Whoa.
Yeah, well, talk to me on the 19th when I turn 50.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm still good.
I got to tell you, Lori, 50 gets even better. Okay, so no worries about that. So what's next for us is we have our goals written on the board, and we want to do Team Kaizen, of course. We want to get it done as soon as possible, and that's what we're focusing on, is finding the next person that wants to go silver. And also Pinnacle. My husband is really excited about Pinnacle, which I was really surprised about. So he's got Pinnacle all over the place here. So it's really funny. And it really is to bring as many people as we can to come with us. We've made a lot of phone calls to people to say, look, it only takes $24,000 and $6,000, but you have a whole year. It's kind of crazy. So you've got to come to Japan with us. So that is what's next. We are focusing on Japan. As soon as I know what the heck is going on with Team Kaizen this year. I'm going to erase this whiteboard and put Japan on there. Now, I'm not erasing this until I know what's going on with Fairmont Mayakoma. So that's what's next for me. We are definitely want to be in Japan.
Well, Nikken has given us tons to talk about. You guys, those of you who are on Launch Partners, know I've already posted on the many chats we have, the many ways we have it, the incentive, the PDF of the incentive, which you should all be having either print off and carry and put into some plastic. Great. And carry, because these are huge talking points. That, we talk about what's new in Nikken, the new Nikken. Well, this is what's new. We have something to talk about that's new. And so it's a reason to get on the phone and contact people and say, listen, I got to tell you what's going on. There's some really exciting things. So Nikken has given us the ammo. We've always had a great gun, and maybe terrible metaphor, but you know what I mean. Now we got the ammo. Now we got some real live ammo that we can fire those bullets and get some real result. Get some real impact going, because people are going to respond to the information that we're sharing. It's all relevant and it's business oriented, which I really like about it, because this quarter, the focus is on the business. So most of the presentations I will be doing will cover that ground. So there's a good, strong emphasis on the fact that Nikken is a great and viable business opportunity. Any other questions? Yes.
I want to add something to that, Mike, just to be honest, is that, this business concept thing is not something that I've always been good at, because it's always been like, okay, just do it for yourself and don't worry about the business. And now with the shift that we have, it's put it in the forefront of our brains to really talk about the business, and having my husband on board is forcing me to do that. But that's not something that has come natural for me. So now that we have these things going on, it makes it much easier because it supports growing the business. So it's really a great thing.
And what is the business? It's what we're talking about. It's this connecting with other people, having something in common, learning from each other, collaborative entrepreneurs, sharing stories, sharing products and technology that we're passionate about and we know and have confidence in. And so the business it's not arduous. It's not like the traditional business where you got to open up a kiosk or a store or a factory and employ people. And so when we even use the language of business, you got to be careful not to scare people off, because they may think in terms of business, traditional business. So you want to be able to share this in a way that opens them, not closes them from the. That's why we're using the term the gig economy. What do you know about the gig economy? Ask that question. They may not know anything. That opens them up to learn. That's when you can start talking about what's going on in the gig economy, and we'll have more talking points on that. Ben did a video on the leadership call last week, in fact, where he talked about the gig economy and some of the talking points about that. Those 2 PowerPoints are in our business presentation, which hopefully I'll get some version up on the Launch Partner site before I actually jump on a plane. And then it'll be massaged. You can bet it'll be massaged. As I start to go and talk with these talking points, I'll be massaging it along the way. But at least it'll give you something to know about what it looks like. And it's just an adaptation of the business presentation that we've been using in Royal Alliance.
Now, I'd like to mention the trip to Japan in 1998. It was 60,000 points in 3 months to get one ticket. And I got a ticket and a half for 78,000 points. Didn't quite, I don't know what the 2 tickets were, but that's in 3 months. That was from June 1st to August 31st. So 24,000 points. I mean, whether the CV's down or not, we ought to be able to do it.
Absolutely.
We ought to want to do it. If you I can speak for this. I've been to Japan 5 times. You definitely want to go to Japan.
Yeah, I've been twice. It's absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, one more chance. All right, well, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks, Ruth, for sharing your wisdom and your excitement and your strategy for creating 9 seniors in 2 months, because we all want to be doing that. I myself had 2 seniors in December, which is, for me, definitely an uptick in my pace, but as if I'm not busy enough already. So I look forward to bumping into you guys along the Nikken Highway as I come traveling through your neck of the woods. Keep those schedules humming. Keep locking in some new events and sending that information forward. We're trying to streamline this process for event flyers. Hopefully now you You've seen there's a form that you can use to just fill it out, send it to me. It should be really turnkey so that I don't have to do as much dialogue in between, because I simply do not have the time to do that. But anyway, so thanks for joining us on this call. And I am on the road as of Wednesday. So next Monday, I'm in, where am I? I'm in Chicago next Monday. Thank you. Next Monday, I'm in Chicago. So I don't know exactly what time. I'm 2 to 4. So behind. I only now knew that I'm doing a presentation from 2 to 4 and not 7:30 for whatever reason. I thought it was going to be in the evening. So we may, in fact, be broadcasting this call next week. I'll know a little bit more once I know what the schedule in Chicago looks more like, because that's how far behind I am. So, but we'll stay tuned. Assume the call will happen, and one of you, maybe I'll ask Madeline to join in and take my part if I'm not going to be on the line. But we'll make sure that you guys know if it's going to be online next Monday. So, and that by then I'll have some new insight.
We have from Kentucky to Philadelphia, and in case there's snow, but we're not going to have snow next week. We have it now. Tomorrow morning it's supposed to be the ice. That about doing the RA live like this, maybe for about an hour. So we have 5 to 7. So if we announce that to get it out there for some places that would like to come in for Sunday evening, 5 to 7 Sunday evening Eastern Standard Time. What are you projecting, like your part with Stan?
Oh, I don't know. Or you're saying you want to do the meeting live?
Yeah, not all of
don't
it.
Don't even think about me in that context, because I'm going to be pretty busy just getting the meeting going rather than a third meeting.
You don't want that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. No. What I mean by that is it needs to be invisible if it's happening at all. To me, I just got to be able to focus on the live meeting that I'm doing. Remember, I'm flying from San Francisco that day.
Right.
At 5 a.m.
If we catch you on the video, that kind of, if it's live, that's what you.
If you have a laptop in the room that's connected and you could project some of this to a group of people that's live, as long as it's not in my face and interfering with the meeting, as long as it's invisible in that sense, no problem. You want to pick up some of this live and broadcast it so people can tune in, that's fine. The less aware of it I am, the better.
Got it.
All right. And so, by the way, to recap where I'm going to Winnipeg Wednesday, then off to San Francisco for the weekend, then Sunday to Cleveland, and Monday to Chicago.
Wow. Travel.
Awesome.
So thanks, guys. We'll see you on the road. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bon voyage.